Welcome to day 2 of Your Health Your Way. My name is Kurt, and today I'll be talking with Lisa about different raw food lifestyles. If you watched our first video, you might remember that we began a 30-day raw vegan exercise, starting for me with a 3-day green juice fast. Now it's been 2 days for me, and I'm doing pretty well considering that I was eating a lot of carbohydrates and sugars up until 2 nights ago. I noticed a heightened rate of sensitivity to smells of foods, especially walking by the cafe at work today. I'm tired, and I would really like to stuff my face with comfort foods right now, but I don't see a problem in succeeding in our goal at this point. So Lisa, you went straight into a 70% raw vegan plan. How are you doing so far?
I did pretty well today. I had a smoothie for breakfast, a juice for lunch, and then this afternoon I went to the gym and worked out, and after weight training I did the elliptical, and after getting close to the 30 minutes on the elliptical I was so hungry and I could smell somebody cooking food in the building. All I wanted was like scrambled eggs with red onion, jalapeno, and lots of cheddar cheese. I was tempted to get it, but I didn't. I came home instead, I made a salad, and then I had a couple of raw vegan sweet treats, I guess you could say. And now I have upstairs waiting for me a banana, cacao, date, and coconut water smoothie, which is fabulous.
So that's making me hungry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a real dessert, like a cooked dessert. It's fabulous.
Now, there are numerous raw vegan experts out there that can share a lot more detail about the science of raw foodism. But we're going to go ahead and touch on a few of the subjects here and provide a high-level overview. So, Lisa, can you draw up a comparison for us of the raw vegan lifestyle that we've chosen and, say, raw vegetarianism, the raw paleo and primal diets, and even just regular healthy cooked foods?
Well, sure. The ones that, and we'll have a chart up here in a moment. We picked the raw vegan, which includes fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts. There's also a diet called, or a lifestyle called raw vegetarian, which includes all of those things with also the eggs and dairy. And then there's raw paleolithic, which includes all of those things except the dairy, but add to that some meats, some fish, fungi, and roots. Now that's the raw types of lifestyles. I also wanted to add on that chart the food pyramid commonly used today by dietitians, and those items include fruits and vegetables, but they also include oils, grains, milk, meat, and beans, which may not necessarily be the best option for people, especially if they want to lose weight, or more importantly, if they have health problems.
Now, considering all the different types of raw food lifestyles, can you explain why we chose raw veganism?
Well, raw vegan, basically it uses food that occurs in nature, that was put here in the first place. It's also very alkalizing. Unless you overdo nuts, then that can be more acidifying, but it's very alkalizing. It keeps the mucus in your body very low, and it allows the lymphatic system to move so that you can get rid of toxins. The raw vegan lifestyle also has items that do not include hormones or antibiotics, meaning the animals weren't given those. And that kind of lifestyle is easy on the digestive system, which allows you to have more energy for other processes because your energy is not used up in the digestive process.
And easy on the local ecosystem as well.
Absolutely.
Talk more about the acid to alkaline combination. Now, we've read that you should have a 20 to 30% acidic base on your plate when you're eating your food, and 70 to 80% of your foods should be alkalizing. But the standard American diet tends to be more 80% acidic. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Definitely more acidic. What that means is, and I'll use what Dr. Robert Morse often uses to describe this. In chemistry, there's the two sides to chemistry, acid and alkaline. When we're in a more acidic state, when our bodies are in a more acidic state, we're more prone to getting these diseases. When we're in a more alkaline state, we're more healthy. Now, there are people out there that will say, that will disagree with the acid alkaline idea, and they'll say, well, our bodies bring themselves back into balance. And that is true. It's referred to homeostasis. I believe that that's true if we were eating the kind of foods in the way that they existed many centuries ago. With the way foods exist today, I just think that we have so much accumulation of toxins in our bodies that our bodies have a hard time bringing our systems back into balance.
We're too heavily processed.
We're too heavily processed.
Yeah. So what are some of the more commonly avoided foods on a raw vegan diet, and why would we avoid them?
Well, one thing is milk. Milk is acidic, and when we drink milk from commercial cows, those cows have been infused with hormones. That's to help them increase their milk production so that farmers can produce more, sell more, make more money. But those hormones affect their glands. Whatever we ingest from that animal, we're ingesting whatever they took in. So those hormones affect our glands, and our glands control all the other systems in our bodies. I think we underestimate the power of our glands. Now, one option is to buy antibiotic-free milk, but the downside of that is that sometimes when farmers raise cows antibiotic-free, that means that even when they have infections, they're not given antibiotics. So, for example, when they have the very painful udder infection called mastitis, they ooze pus into the milk, and one, it keeps the cow in pain, and two, we're ingesting that pus that goes into the milk. And also, they're kept in small, confined spaces and treated inhumanely.
Right. And how about red meat?
Again, they're the small, confined space, and they're treated inhumanely. Again, these animals are often getting hormones, so they can get beefed up. And one important part of when animals are slaughtered for food is that their adrenal glands, because of that fear, we've heard of the fight or flight syndrome. When they go into that fear mode, their adrenaline secrete a huge amount of adrenaline. Their adrenals secrete a huge amount of adrenaline, which circulates in their blood system, goes into their tissues, and we end up consuming that. And people oftentimes who consume red meat end up feeling more irritable and agitated and more quick to anger because of that adrenaline and the byproducts of that meat. And there are also many ailments related to inflammation caused by red meat, such as arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and joint pain.
Okay. And what about poultry?
Poultry, again, there's a concern about how the animals are kept and treated. And sometimes there'll be free-range chickens, but I have also seen where the animals are allowed to roam free, but it's only within a certain perimeter of land, which is very tiny, and for just a few minutes a day. So is that really humane? Is that really, free range? But if the definitions are that ambiguous, then who knows? Who knows what that animal has gone through? And when they say that they're grass-fed, poultry as well as for the red meat, when those animals have been grass-fed, that's fine, that's good, but are they also grain-fed? Does it mean only grass-fed? So you could go either way with the lingo used.
So some of these animals are grain-fed as well. What happens to us when we consume grains?
Well, grain is another problem. And again, and I say this because the grains of today are very different than the grains that we consumed many centuries ago. The grains of today are oftentimes genetically modified, which means that our body does not recognize them. If our body doesn't recognize them, how can it process and digest and eliminate them? Also, the grains are grown in soil that's very poor. Grains are mucus forming, they're also acidic, and grains are given to animals to make them fat. So when we eat grains, or animals that have consumed grains, it would make sense that we also get fattened up. And as a side note, we've all heard about gluten these days. It's become a very popular topic, and there's much food that's gluten-free. Gluten is a protein that comes from the processing of grains, and gluten gives items like rice and pasta that chewy texture, so it makes it more pleasurable to eat. However, gluten is a byproduct. It is a protein, which means it's not easily broken down by the body. And we've heard of the ailments caused by gluten, like irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, a lot of gastrointestinal upsets because of that. A great book is called Grain Damage by Doug Graham, and he talks a lot in detail about the problems with grains these days.
Right, right. And he's a real expert in the field, and can really get probably more into the weeds about the science of this.
No pun intended, I guess.
Right. Fish. What about fish?
Fish, I think, is probably one of the lesser damaging ones, and wild-caught fish is better than farm-raised. You want to make sure that you get fish that is low mercury or no mercury exposure, because when we consume the mercury that fish has consumed, these neurotoxins accumulate in our body, and over time they can affect our brain. And we hear about people in older age getting Alzheimer's and dementia. In my opinion, these are not illnesses that have to happen because of someone's age. They're actually caused by the accumulations of what people have consumed. And mercury in fish is just one form of getting mercury. There are other forms that we can discuss at another time.
Now, we've often learned that fresh eggs are healthy.
And again, if they were eggs in the way that the chickens were well treated and treated naturally, would be one thing. I mean, when I've gotten eggs, I try to do the cage-free, the eggs and chickens that have been treated supposedly humanely, although we don't know if that's the case. But just consider if that chicken has been grain-fed and how they've been treated.
Okay. Now, lastly, can you talk a little bit about processed foods?
Processed foods are basically anything that's not, and even sometimes included in the perimeter of your grocery store aisle. So anything that comes in wrappers and boxes and packages. These items have been heated so that they can be preserved. And when foods are heated, they lose the nutrient value. Also, a lot of processed foods are high in sugar and fat, and they often contain ingredients that the body cannot, if you can't pronounce it, you've heard that, you can't pronounce it, don't buy it. If you can't pronounce it, your body probably cannot digest, absorb, utilize, or eliminate that properly. That then creates the accumulations in our bodies that create the illnesses that we have today. So if you're looking to lose weight, which is the main reason a lot of people go on these lifestyles or diet changes, when you look at all the problems that these different foods can cause, weight is like the least of the worries, or it should be, in my opinion. Improving our health should be the main focus, because you could lose weight through just about any diet that there is out there. Some are safer than others. So if you're looking to lose weight, you could do it in a variety of ways. But if you're looking for better health in general, which will also create weight loss, raw vegan, I think, is a pretty good way to go.
Right, yeah, I would agree. So then you can see that there's a lot of reasons why we would choose a raw vegan lifestyle. But each of us has to kind of figure out what's right for our lives. You may find that 100% or even 70% just is not right for your situation. So you've got to sort of find your own balance. Start, if you want to take a look at it, start within your comfort zone and find a viable combination. I think it's commonly understood that if we consume more raw fruits, more raw vegetables, nuts, and seeds, that our bodies are going to respond in a positive way.
That's a great step.
Right.
Great step.
But again, find your own balance. So we want to reinforce that whatever you choose to do with your dietary habits, just do so with awareness. And we hope that our discussions are going to increase awareness in the choices that you make. So, but the key thing is, remember that you do have a choice.
Absolutely.
So, with that, I guess thank you for watching. And our next video, we're going to get a chance to see some of Lisa's kitchen savvy with the juicer.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Messing with my vocal cords and whatever else the test entail.
Sorry.
Vocal cords.
And fade out.